Hi there, I'm Paul and I'm from GarageMaster Online. GarageMaster Online is a system that allows you to run basically a garage or a mechanic's business or a mobile mechanic, and it allows you to have some really useful tools that are been built over about 5 years. And so this is like a demonstration, but it's also useful if you've just got the system, so that it can help you get set up quickly and get you using it. So the first thing you've got to do, if you sign up, you fill in a form and then your system's created on our servers. I'm going to hit login right now, and this is an empty system. You see it's got our logo on the top of it. So the first thing you want to do is go through the setup section. Set up your company details in here. Now you do that simply by going through, double click on each one, and then do save and return when you've changed everything, and just go through each thing. You don't have to set up now, you can set up later, whatever. The next thing to do is to set up your logo, and you do that simply by editing this record and then do add image. So you're going to change the image that's in there, and I'm going to put a different logo in just for fun. Do a grayscale transparent logo sticker. Let's use the one I use for the sticker. Okay, so there you go, save and return, and then if you go back to the dashboard, you'll see that it's set up with my new logo that I put in. If you need help with that, you can just contact us on chat down in this corner, that's always there, or you can email sales@garagemaster.shop with your logo and we'll sort it all out for you. Next thing you want to do is, so having done the settings, you can also import from Zero Accounting. If you want to import different data, we've got that, so we can help you out doing that depending on the system. You can add parts to it, so you probably want to set up your suppliers before you do some parts. You can add sales categories, so you probably want to add some sales categories. So let's teach you how to use the whole system in one go. So let's add a record to it. Now there's 4 options here. So you see it says save and new, save and edit, save and return. So if I do return on its own, it doesn't add the record. So if I do add again, if I do let's see, break discs Astra, you don't have to do this, you can just type them all in if you wanted to. BDA, save and return. Oh, this is a sales category, this is completely the wrong thing to be putting in it. So for instance, it might be parts, save and return. What other things are we going to sell? MOTs we're going to sell, so we'll have a category for that. We'll have a category for maybe we'll have a category for labour. Save and return. Edit. Add the R on that. Save and return. You don't have to put a category code in. I just put a name in there. Parts, MOT, labour, and maybe we'll do a bit of recovery. So we'll add a recovery. So we can actually store and labour as well. That's good sales, but good save and return. Okay, so sales categories are done. These are used later on to analyse your sales. So basically, you can add as many as you want, and then when we create invoices, we set it up. Supplier and expenses categories. Start with an easy one. Rent. Save and new, because I want to create a new record. Parts, save and new. What else are we going to have? Fuel, save and new. Transport, save and return, because I want to list it. You see how easy it is to use the whole system. Add some stuff. Don't have to do this. Obviously you can use as much or as little of this system as you want, but it's best to. So I just go through all the setup stuff. Payment methods is already set up for you. So you can see there's different options on payment methods there. So once you've done setup, next thing to do is to set up your suppliers. But before we do that, let's go and look at the dashboard. You can see I've got the logo I set up. There's a calendar view, shows your calendar. Diary is a list format of the calendar. Work in progress shows you any unpaid invoices that basically then servicing will show you customers' vehicles, and suppliers is a supply list. So some pop-ups. Quick quote allows you to give a customer a quote. So you put in £100. and says with 20% VAT it's 120. Add the 30% uplift on the price, 40% uplift. Tells you how much you're going to charge the customer. So that's a little useful function. Part search. Once you get some parts in there, you'll have some parts so you can search your parts. DVLA allows you to search a vehicle's details, and then you can get the complete MOT history from the day that it was first built, or its first MOT. Suppliers. Let's add a new supplier. That's the next thing you want to be doing. This is because the system relies on suppliers. Later on, when we start creating customer invoices, we need to enter supplier parts. And parts, and I'll do save and edit. Okay, and also we've got address autocomplete, so 23 South Street. I'm just picking up anything. Is there one in Ipswich? That'll do. Suffolk. I made that up completely. I don't know what's at 23 South Street, but you see it's auto-completes. Save and edit, and there's your supplier invoice and purchase orders. You can enter all this manually, but before we do that, I'll show you how GarageMaster Online has a facility where it automatically builds up the supplier invoices when you're entering the customer invoices, which is obviously very helpful. So we'll come back to this in a minute, but obviously you can add a new purchase order in here manually and do it that way, or you can do this. Let's start off adding customers. Account customer means somebody you can print a statement for. John Jones, Mr. Mike, Mr. John Jones. I'm just adding a random customer. Again, type it. You notice I'm using tab to move forwards. Shift tab goes back. If you're on a mobile device, you can use next on the keyboard to move to the next thing. I'll do save and edit like that. And you see when I do save and edit, all these other tabs appear. The same thing will happen as if I'd saved and returned. If I do edit, now I've got these new tabs. I can add the customer's vehicle here. That's my van. Okay, hit tab through there. You see it looks up the details of it. MOT history gives me the details completely. So I'll just go and put that in again. So tab through. Do save and edit like that, and that brings this up. And then down the bottom, once you've done save and edit, you'll find that the VHC sheets. Let's create a VHC sheet. You don't have to do any of this. You can do as much or as little as you like. Save and return. And now I could print a VHC sheet with that button there. And then I can actually record what I've put on the VHC sheet in this here just by going into edit. If I put red on that, save and return, you'll see that it shows up red. So you could create a history of VHC sheets and things that have been done to the vehicle if you work that way. If you don't use VHC sheets, you don't have to. There's also a job sheet which you can print, very simple, and you can use that to build up your invoicing and everything like that. So once you've done that, that's the vehicles. And we've got calendar, so you can keep track of who's coming in when. Choose the registration. When are they coming in? Let's bring them in tomorrow. Let's have them in at 12 o'clock. And let's say we're going to replace 4 brake pads. Okay. Save and return. Now the cool thing is now that dashboard, that'll appear. There you go. There is actually that appointment. So you can build up appointments, which means you don't miss appointments because you know when they're coming. And then the last thing we're going to look at in the customer is invoices and estimates. Now you can build this up as you're going along. You don't have to wait until you've actually done the job to do the invoice. You can do it as you go. So let's create an invoice. Let's say it's the next day. We're going to tomorrow. I haven't got any more details than that. Do just save and edit, and you'll see that the details of the invoice appear. I'm going to add a record to the invoice, and I'm going to start off by doing a bit of labour. And my supplier, well, no, there isn't a supplier, as it's me, and I'm going to charge him. So I'm going to look. You see the blue things are selling and the yellow things are buying. So let's put in our selling price of £80 an hour. We did 4 hours. Save and edit. You see it adds it all up. Sales category. Labour. Staff member was me. That's not my name, by the way. That's not my name at all. Save and return. You can see that the invoice is starting to build up. Let's add some brake pads to that. Obviously, if I had parts in here, let's add add some parts. Let's add a brake pads. Actually, let's do an oil change. So we'll do oil, fifth standard, 25 oil. Supplier 1, we'll get it from Mike Jones Parts. Cost is going to be £15 for that. This is all making it up as I go along. Okay, so customers, because you'll all be going, that's not how much I pay for oil. So let's go back into my invoice, edit, Invoices, Estimates, and we're going to edit that invoice. Okay, you don't have to have parts, you could do it all manually if you wanted to. So add another line to this. So if I put in oil here, you feel it automatically fills in that. Choose the supplier. Now this is where it gets a bit clever. Let's say we got the supplier invoice number, supplier events category, it's parts really. Okay, let's say I'm going to charge a 30% uplift. I'll do save and edit to see my figures, and I think, well, 23.40 is a funny number. Let's make it £25. Save and edit, and you see now it's added it all together. Sales category is parts, staff members me. There's no description of work completed. Oh yeah, let's do this. Full service and oil change. Now obviously this isn't really real, because obviously if you did a full service and oil change you're probably going to need other things, but it gives you an idea. So save and return. So I've got 4 hours of labour and full service, so parts, description, work completed. Now obviously as you build it up, build the invoice or estimate up, you could put in that description all the way along and build it up. You don't need to wait till the job's done, because of course if you go back to return you'll see that the invoice isn't paid. So the system knows that it's not paid, so you don't have to worry about invoicing when you're ready. So if I go to print estimates now, if I was printing an estimate, you can see that it gives some basic details. Or if I'm ready to do the invoice, let's go back to here, print invoice. There's really just a little thing, settings. You probably want to do background graphics and turn off headers and footers, depending on what browser you're running, and that prints a nice invoice. If you want to put your logo in the middle, you just go to settings and import, and we go down the bottom, center logo, just put yes in there. And let's say we want to make the logo bigger, set it to 250, save and return. Now if I go back to the customers, edit that invoice, let's just print the invoice. You can see that my logo is now in the middle and much bigger. So you can do that sort of thing with it, so it's pretty easy. Again, if you get stuck with it, you just click on here, have a chat with us, or send an email to sales@garagemaster.shop. There's lots of help and stuff going on up here, which you can use if you want to, which is quite helpful. Now, you may remember that we entered a part, and when I entered that part, so if we're going to look in here, Invoice and Estimates, and go into Edit on that invoice. Now you may remember that if I go to here, see Mike Jones Parts and Parts, so I entered it in there. Now watch what happens. If I go into Suppliers, let's go into Mike Jones Parts, Edit, go into Supplier Invoices, it's already created, okay, it's already created the invoice, because when I entered it in the customers, it's taken that information and automatically created the supplier invoice. See, it says customer invoice number 1001. So it's automatically done that. That means you don't have to enter the supplier invoices at all. Okay, you might have to enter a supplier invoice, for instance, unfortunately let's add a new supplier, my landlord, okay, who your landlord is. So you might have to do a manual one like this, save and return. So let's say if we go to edit, let's say we supplier add 2000 invoice date. Let's save and edit. Okay, add an entry, and it'll be rent. Okay, and let's say it's £1,000. Save and return for a month. Just out of ease. So you can enter your supplier details in like that. But as far as car parts and everything like that, it'll all be generated automatically as you enter the customer invoice. So that's a pretty time-saving thing, and it's specifically to certain industries that do that. because you already have the parts information from the supplier, so you can keep your whole system pretty much easily up to date. Another little part of it is the expenses part, where you can add expenses. So trip to pick up car, it cost me £30 in fuel, date of expense was today, and I can actually add an image which might be a receipt. If you do this on a mobile, you can just easily add it through that. Save and return, you can see it's, and it actually does it by the month. So that's quite useful. Reporting shows you monthly turnover. At the moment we haven't got any, because if we go back into here, the customer's not paid the invoice yet. Okay, so I don't want to remove that entry. Edit, Invoices and Estimates. Now if I go into here, I was actually asked this the other day, how do you do it? You go into here and go paid. They paid by credit card. Save and return. You see it goes green to tell you it's been paid. Go back into reporting, and there you go. It tells you straight away what's going on and how much money you've made and how much profit you made on that job. When you get to your year end, you probably want to do a charts of account spreadsheets. So hopefully this will work perfectly. So let's just do 1 month, and it creates an Excel spreadsheet which I've just loaded there. You can load that up, and there you go, and it creates, there's the invoice number, and that's customer invoices, so you can see it's got 2 lines to it, and it adds it all up for you. Expenses, we've got fuel expenses, and then supplier invoices. This was automatically created from the customer. Then you can give that to your accountant or bookkeeper, or use it to complete your tax return. So obviously as time goes on, we'll be developing more detailed stuff on tax returns and things like that as people want it. Now one last thing is your web page. If you haven't got a company web page, so all you do is create a page called index, save and return, and this allows you to have a really quick website. Okay, so you can just edit this, and there's some videos on here how to do it, how to set up pages and websites and everything like that. And then you can just go click on this link, and that will be your garage website, which is pretty sweet. Now obviously you can see this one's I've previously set up for you, but obviously yours will be slightly different depending on what you want. If you want a different name there, then you can actually just contact us and we'll set that up for you. And it starts with ukgarage.info, which is kind of cool, but it just means anyone who hasn't got a website, it's actually built into GarageMaster to do it. So I think that's about all I'm going to cover in this. There's obviously frequently asked questions. We've got a Facebook user group. If you want to raise a ticket, you can do it by just going to our contact page here, filling in all the details. But the fastest way to get hold of me and get hold of is through the chat. If I don't respond straight away, please do send an email or leave a message, and I'll come back to you as quickly as we can. We're always looking for ideas, so if you've got some ideas of things you want to be put into here, then please do get in touch. And I hope that's been a good help. But that's basically it. Thanks very much for watching.